In this video, I am going to be discussing utilitarianism and utilitarian ethics. Utilitarianism is a type of ethical theory that is known as a consequentialist ethical theory. This means that it determines right and wrong based off the consequences of the decision or action. Utilitarianism specifically determines right and wrong through the ratio of happiness to unhappiness. If an action has the most happiness relative to its amount of unhappiness, it is considered to be a morally right decision or action. This necessarily does not mean that the action that brings about the most happiness would be an ethically right decision. Consider a scenario where there are two possible decisions to be made. The first decision would make 500 people happy, while making 100 people unhappy. The second decision would only make 450 people happy, yet it also only make 20 people unhappy. In this scenario, the latter of the two decisions would be the morally right option by utilitarian ethics, as it leads to the greatest number of happiness relative to unhappiness. One way to determine how much happiness and unhappiness an action or decision brings is through hedonic calculus. The first step of hedonic calculus is to first determine all of the consequences, both positive and negative, a specific action or decision would have. From there, you assign a numeric scale relative to the amount of unhappiness it would bring or the amount of unhappiness it would bring. From there, you sum all of those numbers, and the action that brings the most happiness is the one that is morally right. One example of hedonic calculus could be with the decision to sleep in. While sleeping in could be a positive trait, could bring about happiness, and could have other consequences that bring about happiness, such as missing the morning rush hour. Sleeping in would also have several negative consequences that would bring about unhappiness. These could include having to rush through your morning routine, being late to work or class, or having to stay later doing work. Once you assign a numerical scale to all of these, you would then sum them all up, and if it gives you a negative number, that implies that sleeping in would not be the right decision. One common objection to utilitarian ethics is that it fails to consider personal rights. This can be seen with the utility monster, who is someone who gains immense amounts of satisfaction through another's suffering. So much so that through hedonic calculus, allowing the person to continue causing suffering to others would be the morally right decision. Another common objection to utilitarianism is its failure to consider personal relationships. This can be seen in a variation of the trolley problem, where you were asked to consider a group of people about to be run over by a trolley. You have the option to save them. However, saving them would mean you need to divert the trolley, and diverting the trolley would kill a loved one. One response to these objections to utilitarianism is that our initial intuitions are wrong. While it might seem wrong at first to allow someone like a utility monster to continue causing suffering to others, this says that that initial intuition is completely wrong, and that allowing the utility monster to continue is still the right thing to do. Another common response to these objections is rule utilitarianism, which is similar to normal utilitarianism, except it includes a set of rules. You should follow these rules, and they tend to bring about the most happiness relative to unhappiness. This would solve issues such as the utility monster, as one of the rules could be to give people the right to not be harassed, which would make utility monsters unethical. Thank you.